sewing friends, welcome to my sewing room. My name's Beth, and if you're new, welcome. Last year I began a quilt hoping to get it done for Christmas of 2024, and I didn't get it done. I was really hoping in December that I would get back to this quilt, but it didn't happen. Here is a little video footage of last year when I put these blocks together. It's been almost exactly a year when I put my blocks together, at least this part of the block, this section, this sort of half log cabin. I'm not sure exactly the name of this block. I've been corrected before if it's a quarter log cabin or a half log cabin. But anyway, this is the block with lots of pretty reds and greens. I did write a pattern for this quilt, and that pattern will be in my Etsy shop, and the link will be below. The large block, once you put all these 4 sections together with the sashing and that green cornerstone, that large quilt block is 21 inches. So here are my quilt blocks on the floor. I'm making this a square quilt. The pattern has one more row of quilt blocks to make it more of a bed quilt. So I'm just making 9 of these large quilt blocks and putting them all together with white sashing and a green cornerstone. I think it's coming out really pretty. The strips in this quilt block are 2 inches, so I am using a 2-inch white strip between those 4 sections, and most of that white fabric that I'm using is from a cotton sheet. I love to use cotton sheets. This quilt has a lot of white, and you get a lot of fabric in a cotton sheet. So I cut my strips 2 inches, and again, with a sheet, you can get some really long strips, and I will need some really long strips for this quilt because I'll be putting sashing between the blocks, and then I'll add one more strip of white all the way around when all my blocks are together. use the large area on the floor in my sewing room to lay out my blocks. I do have a design wall, but it's not that large, and I really like having a large area where I can put my quilt down and visualize how it's going to look. And I wanted to mix up some of these reds and greens. I didn't want all of the same fabric right next to each other because I do have some duplicates. So here I am cutting those 2-inch wide strips from my cotton sheet. When I finally got all of my large quilt blocks together, I began adding the sashing, and these are pretty long strips, so I really needed to be careful to pin so that they match up. When you have a long strip and you're putting two sections of fabric together, when it's long, you really need to use pins. I don't always use pins when it's a smaller quilt block, but when it's longer, I do like to pin so everything comes together evenly. When I was done putting my quilt top together, adding the sashing around the outside, my quilt measured 68 by 68. Here it is before I added that white border around the outside, and I could have added a wider border, but I went ahead and added a 2-inch border all the way around. And again, this is a pattern that you can get from my Etsy shop, and I will leave a link below. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you next time.